안녕하세요. 반갑습니다, 여러분. 이번 시간에는 11장 심장혈관계통에 대해서 학습하는 시간입니다. 그럼 시작하겠습니다.
혈관,
blood vessel, blood vessel, blood vessel,
내피,
endothelium, endothelium, endothelium,
대정맥,
vena cava, vena cava, vena cava,
폐동맥,
pulmonary artery, pulmonary artery, pulmonary artery,
폐모세혈관,
lung capillary, lung capillary, lung capillary,
폐정맥,
pulmonary vein, pulmonary vein, pulmonary vein,
대동맥,
aorta, aorta, aorta,
동맥,
artery, artery, artery,
세동맥,
arteriole, arteriole, arteriole,
세정맥,
venule, venule, venule,
정맥,
vein, vein, vein,
활력징후,
vital sign, vital sign, vital sign,
총경동맥,
common carotid artery, common carotid artery, common carotid artery,
위팔동맥, 상완동맥,
brachial artery, brachial artery, brachial artery,
요골동맥,
radial artery, radial artery, radial artery,
오금동맥, 슬와동맥,
popliteal artery, popliteal artery, popliteal artery,
대퇴동맥,
femoral artery, femoral artery, femoral artery,
족배동맥,
dorsalis pedis artery, dorsalis pedis artery, dorsalis pedis artery,
후경골동맥,
posterior tibial artery, posterior tibial artery, posterior tibial artery,
허파순환,
pulmonary circulation, pulmonary circulation, pulmonary circulation,
온몸순환,
systemic circulation, systemic circulation, systemic circulation,
심방,
atrium, atrium, atrium,
심실,
ventricle, ventricle, ventricle,
위대정맥, 상대정맥,
superior vena cava, superior vena cava, superior vena cava,
아래대정맥, 하대정맥,
inferior vena cava, inferior vena cava, inferior vena cava,
오른심방, 우심방,
right atrium, right atrium, right atrium,
오른방실판막, 삼천판막,
tricuspid valve, tricuspid valve, tricuspid valve,
오른심실, 우심실,
right ventricle, right ventricle, right ventricle,
허파동맥판막, 폐동맥판막,
pulmonary valve, pulmonary valve, pulmonary valve,
왼심방, 좌심방,
left atrium, left atrium, left atrium,
승모판막,
mitral valve, mitral valve, mitral valve,
왼심실, 좌심실,
left ventricle, left ventricle, left ventricle,
대동맥판막,
aortic valve, aortic valve, aortic valve,
심방사이벽, 심방중격,
interatrial septum, interatrial septum, interatrial septum,
심실사이벽, 심실중격,
interventricular septum, interventricular septum, interventricular septum,
심내막, 심장속막,
endocardium, endocardium, endocardium,
심근, 심장근육,
myocardium, myocardium, myocardium,
심장막, 심낭,
pericardium, pericardium, pericardium,
내장, 심장막,
visceral pericardium, visceral pericardium, visceral pericardium,
벽, 심장막,
parietal pericardium, parietal pericardium, parietal pericardium,
심장막 안, 심낭,
pericardial cavity, pericardial cavity, pericardial cavity,
심장막 3출, 심낭 3출,
pericardial effusion, pericardial effusion, pericardial effusion,
확장기,
diastole, diastole, diastole,
수축기,
systole, systole, systole,
심장 잡음,
cardiac murmur, cardiac murmur, cardiac murmur,
굴심방 결절, 동방 결절,
sinoatrial node, sinoatrial node, sinoatrial node,
방실 결절,
atrioventricular node, atrioventricular node, atrioventricular node,
방실다발,
atrioventricular bundle, atrioventricular bundle, atrioventricular bundle,
오른다 발갈래,
right bundle branch, right bundle branch, right bundle branch,
왼다 발갈래,
left bundle branch, left bundle branch, left bundle branch,
심전도,
electrocardiogram, electrocardiogram, electrocardiogram,
정상 굴리듬, 정상 동리듬,
normal sinus rhythm, normal sinus rhythm, normal sinus rhythm,
ST 분절 상승 심근경색증,
ST elevation myocardial infarction, ST elevation myocardial infarction, ST elevation myocardial infarction,
심장 발작,
heart attack, heart attack, heart attack,
심정지,
cardiac arrest, cardiac arrest, cardiac arrest,
혈압계,
sphygmomanometer, sphygmomanometer, sphygmomanometer,
수축기 혈압,
systolic blood pressure, systolic blood pressure, systolic blood pressure,
이완기 혈압,
diastolic blood pressure, diastolic blood pressure, diastolic blood pressure,
혈관 조영상,
angiogram, angiogram, angiogram,
혈관 성형술,
angioplasty, angioplasty, angioplasty,
대동맥 협착,
aortic stenosis, aortic stenosis, aortic stenosis,
동맥경화,
arteriosclerosis, arteriosclerosis, arteriosclerosis,
동맥연결,
arterial anastomosis, arterial anastomosis, arterial anastomosis,
동맥 조영술,
arteriography, arteriography, arteriography,
동맥 내막절제술,
endarterectomy, endarterectomy, endarterectomy,
축조,
atheroma, atheroma, atheroma,
축상경화,
atherosclerosis, atherosclerosis, atherosclerosis,
축종절제,
atherectomy, atherectomy, atherectomy,
방실의 심방심실의,
atrioventricular, atrioventricular, atrioventricular,
심장비대,
cardiomegaly, cardiomegaly, cardiomegaly,
심근병증,
cardiomyopathy, cardiomyopathy, cardiomyopathy,
비대심근병증,
hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy,
느림맥 서맥,
bradycardia, bradycardia, bradycardia,
빠른맥 빈맥,
tachycardia, tachycardia, tachycardia,
심장성 쇼크,
cardiogenic shock, cardiogenic shock, cardiogenic shock,
고콜레스테롤 혈증,
hypercholesterolemia, hypercholesterolemia, hypercholesterolemia,
관상동맥, 심장동맥,
coronary artery, coronary artery, coronary artery,
청색증,
cyanosis, cyanosis, cyanosis,
점액종,
myxoma, myxoma, myxoma,
저산소증,
hypoxia, hypoxia, hypoxia,
심장막천자,
pericardiocentesis, pericardiocentesis, pericardiocentesis,
정맥절개,
phlebotomy, phlebotomy, phlebotomy,
혈전 정맥염,
thrombophlebitis, thrombophlebitis, thrombophlebitis,
부정맥,
arrhythmia, arrhythmia, arrhythmia,
청진기,
stethoscope, stethoscope, stethoscope,
청진,
auscultation, auscultation, auscultation,
혈전용해,
thrombolysis, thrombolysis, thrombolysis,
판막성형,
valvuloplasty, valvuloplasty, valvuloplasty,
승모판막염,
mitral valvulitis, mitral valvulitis, mitral valvulitis,
판막절개,
valvotomy, valvotomy, valvotomy,
혈관 수축,
vasoconstriction, vasoconstriction, vasoconstriction,
혈관 확장,
vasodilation, vasodilation, vasodilation,
정맥천자,
venipuncture, venipuncture, venipuncture.
방실 차단,
Hard block, hard block, hard block.
완전 방실 차단,
Complete hard block, complete hard block, complete hard block.
인공심박동 조율기,
Artificial cardiac pacemaker, artificial cardiac pacemaker, artificial cardiac pacemaker.
양심실 인공심장박동 조율기,
Biventricular pacemaker, biventricular pacemaker, biventricular pacemaker.
심장박동 조율기,
Cardiac pacemaker, cardiac pacemaker, cardiac pacemaker.
조동된 떨림,
Flutter, flutter, flutter.
심방조동,
Atrial flutter, atrial flutter, atrial flutter.
심율동 전환,
Cardioversion, cardioversion, cardioversion.
세동 잔떨림,
Fibrillation, fibrillation, fibrillation.
심방세동,
Atrial fibrillation, atrial fibrillation, atrial fibrillation.
두근거림 심계항진,
Palpitation, palpitation, palpitation.
돌발 심방세동,
Paroxysmal AF, paroxysmal AF, paroxysmal AF.
영구 심방세동,
Permanent AF, permanent AF, permanent AF.
항응고제,
Anticoagulant, anticoagulant, anticoagulant.
심실세동, 심실잔 떨림,
Ventricular fibrillation, ventricular fibrillation, ventricular fibrillation.
세동 제거, 잔떨림 제거,
Defibrillation, defibrillation, defibrillation.
삽입형 제세동기,
Implantable cardioverter defibrillator, implantable cardioverter defibrillator, implantable cardioverter defibrillator.
자동심장 충격기, 체외형 자동 제세동기,
Automatic external defibrillator, automatic external defibrillator, automatic external defibrillator.